September 23, 2025. At the United Nations headquarters in New York, world leaders gather under heightened security. Among them, Polish President Karol Nawrocki, stepping into the General Assembly Hall with a message framed by history, urgency, and the shadow of renewed Russian aggression. Karol Nawrocki, Poland's head of state, rises to address the assembly. His words are not abstract rhetoric. They echo the fear and defiance of a nation that has once again found itself in the crosshairs of Russian imperialism. 2 weeks earlier, Poland, a NATO member, reported the largest drone incursion into its territory since Russia's war against Ukraine began. On the night of September 9th to 10th, dozens of drones crossed its skies. Warsaw called it a violation of sovereignty, a deliberate test of NATO's resolve. His words draw a direct line from history to present, a country partitioned, invaded, occupied across centuries, now facing the echoes of its past in 21st century warfare. This is not merely diplomatic theatre. Poland has increased its military spending to over 4% of GDP, the highest in NATO, and has stationed troops along its eastern border in anticipation of escalation. Yet Nawrocki also turns westward. He invokes Germany, demanding reparations for Poland's devastation during World War II, a claim long rejected by Berlin. His argument that aggressors must never profit from war if Europe truly wishes to stand as a community of democratic states. Strikingly, Nawrocki aligns himself with former US President Donald Trump, criticizing the European Union's handling of migration and climate policy. He frames these as madness, decisions that, in his words, have crippled Europe's economy, agriculture and security. Historical parallel: Poland's long struggle against Russian dominance, from the partitions of the 18th century to Soviet occupation after World War II. Current tensions, drone incursions, NATO's Article 5 implications, and the fear that Poland may be the next front line in Russia's confrontation with the West. Domestic politics: how Nawrocki leverages nationalism and historical trauma to rally domestic and European support. Reparations: dispute: why Poland continues to pressure Germany and how this revives old wounds within the EU. Trump connection: the geopolitical significance of aligning Polish policy with Trumpist rhetoric, both in Washington and Brussels. Migration and climate policy clash: context on how Central and Eastern European nations often oppose Western Europe's liberal migration policies and energy transition strategies. Geopolitical stakes: what Nawrocki's speech signals about NATO cohesion, EU fractures, and the broader contest between Western democracies and Russia. For Poland, history is not a distant memory. It is a constant companion. At the United Nations, Karol Nawrocki reminds the world that the struggle for sovereignty in Central Europe is not over. His speech warns that Russian imperialism has not disappeared. It has simply changed its weapons, and Poland once again stands as a frontline state.
Okazali ogromną solidarność z walczącym narodem ukraińskim, 1 000 000 ukraińskich uchodźców. Szanowni Państwo, Moskwa mówi o konieczności zajęcia się, cytat.
We are once again beginning to suffer Russian imperialism on our own territory in Poland. 2 weeks ago, on the night of the 9th to the 10th of September, Russian drones attacked the territory of a NATO member state, Polish territory.
Na terytorium państwa członkowskiego NATO, na terytorium Polski.
Poland will always respond appropriately and is ready to defend its territory.
Jest gotowa do obrony swojego terytorium. Polacy,
On Warsaw's demands for reparations from Germany for damage suffered during the Second World War, states and nations are entitled to full reparation, including from those who started the Second World War. For if we want to build a community of democratic states, a common European Union, we must agree together that war must not be economically profitable for any of the aggressors. I agree with President Donald Trump that in recent years, as we Poles have said, and as the countries of Central and Eastern Europe have also pointed out, Europe has sunk into an ideological madness that has led to bad decisions on migration and green madness that has destroyed economic, financial and agricultural markets.
Do złych decyzji w zakresie migracji, do zielonego szaleństwa i zielonego ładu, który niszczy rynki gospodarcze, ekonomiczne i także rynki rolne.